They say a treasure beyond imagination lies hidden, lost to time and war. But what if it's more than a myth? Welcome to Forgotten History Tales. Tonight, we dive into the truth behind the lost gold of the Third Reich. Stay with me. I take you into the heart of a war-torn world, where shadows whispered of treasures so vast they could change the course of history. It's 1945. The world is crumbling, its greatest conflict drawing to a close. Yet amid the chaos, a secret so compelling, so tempting, began to stir. The lost gold of the Third Reich. The faintest glimmer of it flickers in the ruins of Berlin, a vault said to be filled with unimaginable wealth hidden beneath the earth. But how much of it is real, and how much is just another story designed to thrill or deceive? I feel the weight of that question as I step into this story. The hunt for the gold, however, is more than just a search for riches. It's a journey through deception, war, and the myths that linger long after the dust settles. In the depths of a broken Germany, at the end of the Second World War, the rumors began. A nation on its knees, exhausted by years of conflict and destruction, was suddenly surrounded by stories of unimaginable treasures, the spoils of the Third Reich. They spoke of trains filled with gold, of priceless artifacts looted from across Europe, hidden away by the Nazis in secret bunkers, caves, and forgotten corners of the empire. But was it true, or just the fevered dreams of desperate people clinging to hope in the ashes of defeat? As the Allies advanced and Berlin fell, the chaos intensified. The world's greatest enemies had been defeated, yet something darker lingered, whispers of treasure, buried in the earth, waiting to be unearthed by those desperate enough to risk everything. Among the wreckage of the Reich, the question remained: did the Nazis truly hide a vast fortune in gold? And if so, could anyone find it? The air is thick with uncertainty, the streets of Berlin soaked in the weight of the past. I walk through these streets now, imagining the weight of that question hanging in the minds of those who lived through it all. Could this gold be a mere myth, a dream clung to by those left in the wake of destruction, or was it a reality, an untold fortune that could change the world if found? I hear the echoes of history in every corner, in every crumbling wall and shattered window. The remnants of the Nazi regime are still visible, like ghostly whispers of a dark past. But the gold they hid? That's the question that haunts. Some say it's hidden in the Alpine tunnels, while others insist it was buried deep within the walls of German castles, or sealed inside secret vaults beneath the earth. But there's one place, above all, that people believe holds the key to it all. The moment you step into Poland, near the border with Germany, something changes. The air becomes thick with history. The land speaks, not in words, but in secrets long buried. It is here, near the town of Walbrzych, where the legend of the gold train was born. In 1945, a German officer, Colonel Templer, vanished along with his treasure, the gold train said to be filled with precious artifacts, jewelry, and gold bars. The train was believed to be hidden deep within the mountains, shrouded in secrecy, and over the decades, countless individuals, both treasure hunters and amateur historians, have tried to unlock its mysteries. I feel the pull of the legend as I stand in the shadow of the mountains that could hide such a thing. The weight of expectation is palpable, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for someone to uncover its secrets. But as I stand here, I wonder, how much of this is true? And how much is the product of years of myth-making? It is said that the train was hidden in a vast tunnel system built by the Nazis during the war. a labyrinth of tunnels and bunkers that could hold the entire world's wealth, and no one would ever know. The train's exact location is a mystery, and yet it beckons like a siren's call. Some say the train was lost forever, its tracks swallowed by time and decay. Others claim it was only moved, hidden from prying eyes in plain sight. I walk further, the wind cutting through the air, carrying with it the smell of damp earth and age. The mountains around me seem to close in, their dark, jagged peaks standing guard over the land. I can almost hear the clang of the train's metal wheels on the tracks, the rattling sound of history shifting under the weight of myth. This is where the search begins. For decades, explorers, treasure hunters, and historians have scoured these hills, hoping to find a trace of the gold train. Some have found nothing. Others, tantalizing glimpses, shards of broken metal, half-buried railroad ties, yet nothing definitive. Still, the legend endures. Like a fire that refuses to die out, it burns in the hearts of those who dare to believe. And with each passing year, the whispers of that hidden treasure grow louder, more insistent. The story of the lost gold of the Third Reich is more than just a search for gold. It is a search for meaning in a world that had lost its way. It's the hope that in the midst of devastation, something valuable remains, a symbol of power, of victory, or perhaps just a fleeting illusion of something better. I can almost hear the voices of those who came before me, who walked these paths and stared into the abyss, hoping to find something that would restore their faith. But there's more to this hunt than meets the eye. For every truth uncovered, there's a deeper layer of mystery waiting to be unraveled. The gold is just the beginning. And as I venture further into this tale, I feel the pressure mounting, the tension in the air thickening with every clue uncovered, every step taken toward the truth. I turn my gaze to the horizon, where the sun dips behind the peaks, casting long shadows over the landscape. The whispers grow louder, the myth is alive, and the gold still waits, hidden beneath the soil, beneath the weight of history. But I'm not alone in this quest. Countless others have ventured into these mountains, only to disappear or turn back in defeat. What is it that drives them? What is it that drives me? Perhaps it is the knowledge that the gold, if it truly exists, could reveal secrets long buried. Or maybe it's the belief that sometimes treasure doesn't have to be gold. It's the story, the journey, the myth that sustains us. As I step deeper into the heart of this mystery, one question lingers. If the gold is out there, why hasn't anyone found it? What lies in wait for those who dare to dig too deep? And so, the search continues through the shifting mists of history, through the tangled web of myths, and into the shadows where the lost gold of the Third Reich lies hidden. The hunt has only just begun. Next time, we'll uncover the fascinating history behind this legendary treasure. What drove the Nazis to hide such wealth, and why did they choose to keep it a secret? The answers are buried in the past, and they are waiting to be discovered. The silence of the mountains presses in on me, the cold air biting as I trudge deeper into the hills. The land is scarred. Every tree and rock feels as if it's holding its breath, waiting for the past to rise from the shadows. The gold train, the fabled, elusive treasure, is out there somewhere, buried beneath the weight of a fractured history. But what is it that drives me, drives all of us, to chase this myth? Is it simply the allure of wealth, or is there something more to it? As the winds howl through the narrow valleys, I feel the weight of the past bearing down on me. The idea of hidden treasure has always been a part of our collective imagination, but this story, The lost gold of the Third Reich is different. It's not just about the gold, it's about what it represents. The Nazis were masters of deception, their empire built on lies, manipulation, and fear. So, what if the gold is part of that same illusion, a trick to distract the world from something far more sinister? I find myself returning to the question that haunts me. Why was this treasure hidden in the first place? What was it about this gold that was worth protecting, worth burying beneath layers of secrecy and deceit? As I dig deeper into the heart of this mystery, the story of the Third Reich begins to take shape in ways I never expected. The myth of the treasure is but a small part of a much larger, darker tale. In the dying days of the war, as the Allies closed in on Berlin, the Nazis faced their inevitable defeat. But instead of surrendering quietly, they did what they had always done. They fought to the very end. And in their final act of defiance, they turned to their greatest asset, their wealth. But not just any wealth. This was the treasure of 1,000 stolen dreams. Gold, precious artifacts, and unimaginable riches that had been pillaged from across Europe. The Nazis had looted museums, churches, and private collections, amassing vast fortunes along the way. In the final days, as their empire crumbled, they made one last effort to hold on to this stolen wealth. It was a desperate, final act to ensure that their victory wasn't just in the battlefield, but in their ability to control the world's riches. I picture the scene vividly. The Führer bunker, dark and suffocating, as Hitler and his inner circle discuss their final moves. The war is lost, but the treasure is still there, hidden, protected, waiting to be secured for a future that would never come. But why? What did they believe would happen to this gold after their defeat? The answer is elusive, wrapped in layers of secrecy, but there are whispers that hint at a chilling truth. One theory suggests that the Nazis didn't just want to hide the gold from the Allies. They wanted to secure it for a future regime, one that would rise from the ashes of the old. They believed in the possibility of their return, that one day another war would come, and their treasure would fund the resurrection of their empire. The gold was not just a currency, it was a symbol of their legacy, a means to reestablish the nightmare they had created. As I stand on the precipice of this story, I can feel the chilling truth beginning to unfold. The gold wasn't hidden just out of greed. It was hidden out of fear, a fear that their defeat might not be the end, but merely a temporary setback in the long, dark march toward domination. The theories surrounding the treasure are as varied as they are mysterious. Some believe the gold was loaded onto trains and sent south, bound for Switzerland or the mountains of Austria, where it would be hidden in the remote Alps. Others suggest that the Nazis took the gold to Poland, where they had established elaborate underground bunkers, deep within the labyrinthine tunnels of the Schiunge Castle and the nearby Owl Mountains. I hear the winds whistling through the gaps in the rocks as I make my way along the path. The air is thick with the scent of history, the smell of decay, of secrets that refuse to die. It's impossible to shake the feeling that I'm not alone in these hills, as though the mountains themselves are watching, waiting for the truth to be uncovered. I pause, trying to piece together the fragments of information I've gathered. It's clear that the Nazis were meticulous in their efforts to hide their wealth, but even they couldn't have predicted that the hunt for this treasure would continue decades after their defeat. And that, perhaps, is where the true mystery lies, not just in the gold itself, but in the legacy it left behind. The lost gold of the Third Reich is no ordinary treasure hunt. It's a journey into the heart of human ambition, and fear, into the very psyche of a regime that believed it could control not only the world, but history itself. It is, in many ways, the story of the war that never truly ended. A war fought not just with weapons, but with the very symbols of power. As I stand on the threshold of this dark history, I realize that the search for the gold is not just about unearthing riches. It's about unraveling the tangled web of lies and secrets that the Nazis left behind. What they hid and why is a question that reaches far beyond material wealth. It speaks to the heart of the war itself, to the twisted ideologies that drove an entire nation to the brink of destruction. But the deeper I dig, the more I realize that the story is far from over. With every answer I uncover, a dozen more questions arise. The gold, if it exists, is only part of the mystery. The truth behind its hiding, the reasons for its secrecy, those are the answers I am searching for. And as I move forward, I can't shake the feeling that something darker, something more dangerous, lurks just beyond the horizon. I feel the weight of that truth pressing down on me as I venture deeper into the story. But the deeper I go, the more I am drawn into its dark pull, unable to turn back. The question isn't whether the gold is out there. It's what will happen once it's found. Because the treasure isn't just gold. It's a symbol, and that symbol carries with it a terrible power, one that could change everything. The hunt has only just begun, and the shadows that follow me are growing longer. The cold winds continue to howl through the mountains, but now there's a sense of something else in the air. Anticipation, as if the land itself is waiting for something. I can almost feel the ghosts of those who came before me, the soldiers, the treasure hunters, the dreamers who believed they could uncover the fabled gold. Their footsteps echo in the dirt, each one a silent reminder of the cost of this search. But what exactly are we searching for? What is it about this gold that calls to us? The answer, as I soon discover, lies in the intricate web of lies, manipulation, and deceit that surrounded the Nazi regime in its final days. It wasn't just about wealth. It was about power, control, the belief that, even in defeat, the Nazis could hold on to the keys to the world's riches. The treasure wasn't just meant to fund a future conquest. It was a statement, a desperate attempt to ensure their legacy would never be forgotten. As I step deeper into this story, the question of why the Nazis went to such lengths to hide the gold begins to reveal itself. What were they truly afraid of? The Allies were closing in, and defeat was inevitable. The battle for Europe had been lost, but they still had something, the gold, and they weren't going to let it slip through their fingers. It all comes back to the Führer, to Hitler's vision of an eternal Reich, a world shaped by his twisted ideals. Hitler, consumed by paranoia and an overwhelming desire for control, believed that if they could safeguard their wealth, their power, and their secrets, they could one day rise again. The treasure wasn't just gold. It was a symbol of the Nazis' eternal ambitions, a hidden seed for a future that, in their minds, had not yet been extinguished. I take a moment to reflect on the grandiosity of this vision. There was a time when the Nazis believed they were invincible, that their empire would rule for 1,000 years. And as I stand in these cold mountains, with the wind whipping against my face, I realize something even more chilling. The treasure, if it exists, is not just a remnant of the past. It's a relic of their ambition, a dangerous belief that even in the face of total collapse, the Reich could continue in the shadows. But it wasn't just Hitler who believed in this vision. His inner circle, the SS, and even those who worked to build the Nazi war machine were complicit in this massive cover-up. The people who were entrusted with the gold had their own reasons for hiding it. Some were motivated by fear that the Allies would find it and use it to fuel the reconstruction of Europe. Others saw it as a way to preserve a part of the Nazi dream, a thread to tie their future to the ashes of the Reich. I begin to see the full scope of the operation, the network of secrecy that was woven around this treasure. It wasn't just one man or one group of people. It was a sprawling, disjointed effort, one that stretched across multiple countries and involved hundreds, maybe thousands of individuals. Hidden vaults, abandoned bunkers, and darkened caves became the perfect hiding spots for the treasure. But the more I uncover, the more I realize that these places weren't just chosen at random. They were carefully selected for their inaccessibility. The Nazis had designed an elaborate system to ensure that their gold could not be found, no matter how hard the world searched. I walk through the mountains now, the jagged cliffs rising like silent sentinels above me. The sound of my boots crunching on the gravel is the only noise breaking the eerie quiet. I imagine the soldiers who hid the gold here, working in the dead of night, their faces hard with fear, determined to ensure that this wealth would never fall into the wrong hands. They moved in secrecy, avoiding detection at all costs, and leaving behind only the faintest traces of their work. What drove them to such extremes? Was it loyalty? Fear? Or simply the belief that they were safeguarding something greater than themselves? The deeper I dig, the more it becomes clear. The treasure is a piece of history, but it's also a symbol of something much darker. The Nazis didn't just want to hide their wealth, they wanted to keep it for themselves, and they would stop at nothing to make sure it remained out of reach. But what happens when that kind of power is locked away, buried under layers of concrete and dirt? What happens when treasure, once hidden in the shadows, is exposed to the light? It's a haunting question, and the more I ask it, the more I realize that this search is not just about unearthing a long-lost treasure. It's about confronting the legacy of the Nazis themselves. Every step I take feels like I'm walking through history, but also through a kind of darkness, one that refuses to be forgotten. The treasure is a key to something far more dangerous than gold. I reach a clearing, the mountains stretching out before me like a vast, impenetrable wall. In the distance, I see the ruins of a castle, a relic from the past. It's here, in these forgotten corners of Europe, that the answers may lie. But as I approach, the weight of the hunt bears down on me. The closer I get to the truth, the more I realize that the story of the lost gold of the Third Reich is only the beginning. There are more secrets buried here, secrets that may never be revealed. The trail grows colder as the days pass, and with it, the questions mount. If the gold is real, where is it? If it's truly hidden, why hasn't anyone found it? The hunt has led me here, to this ancient castle, to the heart of the legend itself. But the deeper I go, the more I realize that finding the gold is only one part of the story. What happens when it's found? What truths will be uncovered? And what dangers will they unleash? I feel a shiver run down my spine as I step closer to the ruins. This journey is far from over. The gold may be hidden, but the answers, the truth, are waiting. And I am determined to find them. But as I approach the ruins, I can't shake the feeling that someone or something is already watching. The ruins stand before me, their once grand walls now crumbling with age, but they still hold the echoes of a time long past. I can almost hear the whispers of those who walked these halls centuries ago. The faint scent of stone and earth mixes with the sharp bite of the wind. But today, there's a new energy in the air, one that makes the hair on the back of my neck rise. The search for the gold has led me here, to this place where history and myth collide. And as I stand in the shadow of these walls, I realize that we are not simply searching for treasure. We are searching for the past itself, for the remnants of a twisted dream that refuses to die. I step forward, cautiously, feeling the weight of the castle's history settle over me. The stones beneath my feet are uneven, worn down by centuries of wind, rain, and time. I can almost imagine the soldiers who once guarded these walls, their faces grim, their eyes watchful. The castle was built to withstand time and invasion, but now it stands abandoned, a silent sentinel over the secrets buried within its foundations. What treasures could be hidden here? What dark legacies remain in the shadows? The search for the lost gold of the Third Reich has brought me to this point. But I know that there's something deeper at play here. This isn't just about finding gold. It's about uncovering the truth behind the Nazis' obsession with power and control. The more I learn, the more I realize that the treasure is merely a symbol, a physical manifestation of a much larger and more terrifying ideology. The Nazis didn't just want wealth, they wanted dominance, and they were willing to do anything, even sacrifice the lives of millions to achieve it. The gold, I now understand, was never just gold. It was a symbol of the Nazi regime's twisted vision of an eternal empire. They believed that if they could preserve their wealth, if they could safeguard their most precious possessions, then their influence would extend far beyond their defeat. The treasure was meant to be a tool, something they could use to fuel future wars, to fund their return to power. As I step through the ruins of the castle, I can feel the weight of their ambition pressing down on me. The walls are thick, solid, and unmoving, but they seem to whisper nonetheless. The gold could be hidden beneath any of these stones, locked away in secret chambers, or buried deep beneath the earth in tunnels that have long since been forgotten. It's a puzzle, a challenge to anyone brave or foolish enough to seek it out. But the deeper I go into the ruins, the more I sense that this is not just a physical treasure hunt. No, this is something far more psychological, a battle to unravel the twisted myths that have surrounded the Nazis' legacy. The gold isn't just a prize. It's a symbol of their delusional belief in their invincibility, a belief that, even in their final days, they could secure their place in history. I pause, staring into the darkness of the castle's interior, my breath shallow as the shadows close in around me. The silence is deafening. The air feels thick, heavy with the weight of all the secrets buried here. What if the gold is never found? What if, like so many other Nazi treasures, it remains hidden forever, buried beneath the weight of time and history? I feel a chill run down my spine, and I realize that the question of the gold's existence is no longer the most pressing issue. The true question is what will happen when it's found. What happens when this powerful symbol of Nazi ambition is unearthed and brought into the light? Will it be the key to understanding the depths of their delusion, or will it awaken something even darker, something we are not ready to face? The search has led me here, to this forgotten castle in the heart of Europe. But I know that the truth is far more complex than I could have ever imagined. The gold is only one part of the story, and even if it's found, it won't be the end. The Nazis' obsession with power, their twisted vision for the future, will linger long after the treasure is unearthed. I take a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs as I step forward, deeper into the castle. The ruins seem to swallow me whole, their ancient stones closing in around me. I know that this is where the answers lie, somewhere in the darkness, hidden beneath the earth, or within the very walls that have stood for so long. But as I make my way through the castle's interior, I feel something else, a presence. It's subtle, just a shift in the air, a whisper of movement. But it's enough to make my heart race. There's someone or something else here. Someone who has been waiting for the truth to be uncovered. My steps falter for a moment as the realization dawns on me. I'm not the only one searching for the gold. The legacy of the Nazis stretches far beyond their defeat, and there are those who would stop at nothing to protect their secrets, even now. The castle holds its breath as I move deeper, the walls growing darker, more oppressive. The shadows seem to move with me, following my every step. It's as if the very ruins are alive, and the past is reaching out to pull me under. I know the answers are close. I can feel them, just beyond reach, but there's a lingering fear in the air. What will I uncover when I reach the end of this journey? What lies in the heart of this darkness? And then, just as I'm about to make my way into a narrow corridor at the center of the castle, I hear it, the faintest sound, a whisper carried on the wind. Someone, or something, is waiting for me. The gold, the treasure, the myth. They are all part of a much larger story, one that has yet to be fully told. But will I make it out of these ruins alive to tell it? The whisper lingers in the air like a distant echo, too faint to grasp, but too haunting to ignore. My heart pounds in my chest, a rhythm that syncs with the deep silence of the ruins. I stop, holding my breath, my senses sharpened to the smallest detail. The wind sighs through the cracks in the stone, and for a brief moment, everything feels suspended in time. It's as if the castle itself is holding its breath, waiting for me to make my next move. I take a cautious step forward, my footsteps muffled by the damp, uneven stones beneath my boots. Every sound, no matter how small, seems amplified in the oppressive stillness. The corridor ahead stretches out into darkness, and I can't help but feel that I'm not alone. It's a sensation I've learned to trust, the feeling that something, or someone, is watching me. The walls seem to close in, as though the very stones are alive, pulsating with a history that I'm just beginning to understand. As I step into the hallway, the temperature drops. My breath clouds in the cold air, and I can feel the weight of the place pressing in on me. The castle was built to last, to withstand centuries of war and turmoil, but now it stands as a monument to the past, a past that refuses to die. The deeper I go into the heart of the ruins, the more I sense the presence of those who once inhabited this place, the soldiers, the officers, the servants who lived and died here, caught in the web of a lost war. It occurs to me that I'm not just searching for gold anymore. I'm searching for the souls that remain trapped in this place, the ghosts of the Third Reich's final days. They are all here, hidden in the shadows, waiting for someone to uncover the truth. But what truth? What do they want me to find? The castle's interior is a maze of corridors and rooms, some long abandoned, others still bearing the marks of their past occupants. I pass through a series of chambers, once luxurious, now stripped bare of anything of value. The remnants of the past are scattered here and there. A rusted piece of metal, a broken chair, the faint outline of old furniture etched into the stone floor. It's as if the castle is a tomb, holding the secrets of the people who once thought it invulnerable, who believed that they could escape the consequences of their actions. I turn a corner and stop dead in my tracks. There, at the far end of the corridor, I see something I didn't expect. A door, dark, ancient, and barely visible in the gloom. The wood is thick with age, the edges worn and weathered. It looks out of place, almost deliberately concealed. My instincts tell me this is no ordinary room. It's as if it has been kept hidden, sealed off from the rest of the castle, as though it was meant to keep something or someone locked away. I approach the door cautiously, my breath shallow in my chest. The silence presses in around me, thick and suffocating. I can feel the weight of history bearing down on me, urging me to open it, to reveal what lies behind. But a sense of dread rises within me. What if this is where the truth lies? What if the gold, the treasure I've been chasing all this time, was never the real prize? I place my hand on the cold metal of the doorknob, and for a moment, I hesitate. The air feels heavier now, charged with an unspoken tension. I push the door open slowly, the hinges creaking with age, and step into the room. What I find inside is nothing like I expected. The room is small, but it's not empty. There, in the center of the room, is a large wooden chest, dark, old, and weathered with time. The sight of it sends a shiver down my spine. This is it, I think. The treasure, the gold, the object of so many years of speculation and obsession. It's here, waiting for me. But as I move closer to the chest, something feels off. The air in the room is thick with dust, and yet there's a faint warmth, as if the chest has been opened recently. My fingers brush the lid, and for the first time in this entire journey, I feel the weight of the moment, the gravity of what I'm about to uncover. This is it, I tell myself, the moment when everything changes. But I can't shake the feeling that something else is at play here, that this is more than just a treasure hunt, that the gold is merely a doorway to something far darker. I open the chest with trembling hands, the old wood groaning in protest. Inside, instead of piles of glittering gold or priceless artifacts, I find something far more disturbing. Papers, documents, maps, old photographs, faded with age. The chest is filled with the remnants of the Nazi regime, but not the treasure I was expecting. These are records, secret documents, plans, and communications that have been hidden away for decades. I sift through them, my hands shaking, as I pull out a few sheets of paper. The writing is in German, and as I scan the pages, a cold chill spreads through me. These aren't just ordinary documents. These are plans. Plans for escape routes, coded messages, and references to something far more sinister. The gold, it seems, was only a small part of a much larger, more elaborate network. I pause, reading through one of the maps, and the realization hits me with the force of a hammer. These documents aren't about gold. They're about power. The treasure was never the ultimate goal. It was merely a tool, a way to fund something much larger. These documents detail plans for the escape of high-ranking Nazis, hidden away in remote locations across Europe, and the establishment of secret networks that would survive the war and extend their influence long after the Reich had fallen. I take a step back, the weight of the discovery settling heavily on me. This is it. The true legacy of the Third Reich. Their belief that even in defeat, they could rise again. The gold wasn't the end game. It was just a means to an end, a way to ensure that their vision would never truly die. As I stand there, surrounded by the evidence of the past, I realize that the gold was never the treasure at all. The real treasure was the power they sought to hold on to, the control they believed they could maintain even in the face of destruction. And now, here I am, holding the key to it all. The documents, the maps, the secrets, they're all part of a much larger story, one that continues to haunt us even now. But what happens now? What will I do with this knowledge? As I look around the room, I hear the faint sound of footsteps approaching, distant but unmistakable. The hunt isn't over yet. In fact, it's just beginning. The footsteps are faint at first, almost imperceptible. Yet, as they grow louder, the hairs on the back of my neck stand at attention. I'm not alone. The room, once a silent tomb, now hums with an energy I can't quite explain. The documents, those fragile remnants of a dark past, are clutched tightly in my hands, their secrets threatening to spill over into the present. But as I stand there, frozen in the dim light of the castle, I realize that the past has never truly left. It has been waiting, watching, biding its time. The footsteps echo through the halls, a rhythmic reminder that the story is far from over. I glance at the door, my pulse quickening. Someone else is here, someone who has been watching, waiting for the right moment. But who? And why? My instincts scream at me to hide, to flee, but the temptation to stay, to uncover more, is too strong. The door to the room is still ajar, the faintest sliver of light from the hallway cutting through the darkness. I turn back to the chest, feeling its weight in my hands, and I take a deep breath. There's no going back now. The moment I opened that chest, the moment I uncovered the documents, I stepped into a world that I might not fully understand. The Nazis' legacy wasn't just about wealth or power. It was about the dark networks that stretched far beyond their defeat, the hidden reaches of influence that still remain, even now. The footsteps grow louder, closer. I can't let them reach me, not yet. I need to learn more, to understand what I've uncovered. I step back, keeping my eyes on the door, listening intently. The documents in my hand are no longer just papers. They're a map to the truth, a truth that has been buried for too long. My thoughts race as I flick through the pages again. The plans are detailed, escape routes, hidden caches, cryptic messages. But something else stands out. There's a symbol, a recurring motif that appears throughout the maps and documents, a serpent devouring its own tail, the Ouroboros, a symbol of eternity, of things that never end. This symbol doesn't just represent the Nazis' vision for a 1,000-year Reich. It represents something far darker. It's the belief that no matter how many times they are defeated, they will always return, that their ideology will endure, always waiting in the shadows. I freeze as I hear a door creak open in the distance. The footsteps have stopped. I'm not sure if the person is still near or if they've passed by. My heart pounds in my chest as I strain my ears, listening for any movement. The air is thick with tension, and I realize that this moment is crucial. Whoever is out there knows something I don't. And if I want to uncover the truth, I need to act now. With shaking hands, I push the documents into my bag and slowly approach the door. I can't let this opportunity slip through my fingers. The hall is dim, but I can just make out the shadows of movement in the distance. Someone's coming closer. My pulse quickens as I press myself against the stone wall, hoping to remain unseen. Whoever they are, they have the answers I'm looking for. They have to. As the figure rounds the corner, I catch a glimpse of them. A man, tall and lean, his face partially obscured by a hood. He moves with purpose, as if he knows exactly where he's going. My breath catches in my throat. He's not a soldier, not an officer. He's something else. A treasure hunter like me? Or is he part of a far darker network, one that has been hunting these secrets long before I ever set foot in this castle? He stops for a moment, just a few feet away, his back turned. I can see the glint of something metallic at his side, perhaps a weapon, perhaps a tool. The tension in the air is suffocating, and I feel like the walls are closing in around me, but I can't move. Not yet. I have to know more. Just as I start to breathe more quietly, the man suddenly turns and looks in my direction. His eyes meet mine across the hallway, and for a split second, time seems to slow. He knows I'm here. He knows I've found something. And that's when I see it. A small, knowing smile on his lips. It's not a look of surprise or fear. It's recognition. And then, without a word, he turns and continues down the hallway, disappearing into the shadows. I stand there, motionless for a moment, the weight of his gaze still lingering. Who is he? And why did he smile at me like that? It's as if he's been expecting me, waiting for this very moment. But why? What does he know about the treasure I've uncovered? About the legacy of the Nazis that I've only begun to unravel? The questions hang in the air, unanswered, as I quickly move to the edge of the hallway, peering around the corner. I can't lose him now. Not after everything that's happened. He's the key to understanding the true scope of this story. The story of the lost gold of the Third Reich and the secret networks that still remain. I follow him at a distance, keeping to the shadows, my steps light. The man doesn't look back, but I can feel him drawing me closer, leading me deeper into the maze of the castle. With every step, the mystery grows more complex, more dangerous. The treasure I've been searching for was never just about gold. It's about something much darker, something that could change everything. And I realize, with a jolt, that the closer I get to the truth, the more I stand to lose. Because some truths are too dangerous to uncover. Some secrets should remain buried. But I can't stop now. I've come too far, and the shadows are already closing in. The man stops at the end of a narrow corridor, glancing over his shoulder. I'm close, too close, and for the first time in this journey, I feel the cold grip of fear. What happens when I reach him? What happens when the truth is finally uncovered? I can only hope I'm ready for what lies ahead, because I know now, more than ever, that the hunt is far from over. It's only just beginning. I stop, my heart hammering in my chest, as the figure disappears around the corner. The man has led me deeper into the labyrinth of the castle, and the corridors are growing darker, narrower, more oppressive. The air is thick with the scent of damp stone and decay, the faint traces of centuries-old dust hanging like a veil. With every step I take, I feel the weight of the place pressing down on me, as if the walls themselves are alive, waiting for something to happen. My instincts scream at me to turn back, but I can't. I've come too far, and the path is too clear now. This isn't just about treasure anymore. It's about the truth, the unearthing of a hidden history so dark that even the Nazis themselves feared it would be lost to time. The documents I found, the maps, the plans, the photographs, are not just pieces of history. They are keys to a legacy that refuses to die, a network that has lingered in the shadows for decades, waiting for someone to find it. I press on, keeping a safe distance from the man ahead. He moves with an eerie confidence, as if he knows exactly where he's going, and he doesn't care who follows him. The hallway twists and turns, each corner bringing me deeper into the castle's belly, where the light from the outside world feels like a distant memory. The man stops again, at the foot of a staircase, and for the first time, he turns his head slightly, glancing over his shoulder. His eyes meet mine, and again, I'm struck by that same knowing smile. It's not a smile of recognition. It's something colder, more calculated. He's testing me, I realize, watching me, waiting to see if I'll continue. And like a fool, I do. The staircase is narrow and steep, winding down into the belly of the castle, into the bowels of a hidden world. The further we go, the more the air seems to thicken, as if the very weight of history is pressing down on us. The walls are lined with old paintings, faded portraits of long-dead aristocrats, their eyes hollow, staring out at nothing. The flickering light from the single lantern at the top of the stairs casts shadows on their faces, making them appear even more lifelike, as if they are watching us. When we reach the bottom of the staircase, the man stops in front of a large iron door. It's ancient, covered in rust, and the faintest trace of a swastika is etched into the metal, almost indistinguishable from the wear of time. This door wasn't meant to be opened, not in my lifetime, not in anyone's. It's a tomb, a vault that has been locked away for decades, perhaps longer. But now, it's here, in front of me, calling to be opened. He doesn't say a word. He simply stands there, his back to me, waiting. For what? For me to ask the questions? For me to make the choice? I don't know. But the choice is already clear. The documents, the clues, the whispers of treasure, they were all leading to this moment. This door. I reach forward, the cold iron biting into my palm as I grip the handle. My fingers tremble, not from fear, but from something deeper. I can feel the pull of the unknown, the temptation to uncover whatever lies behind that door. But something else is pulling at me now. The growing sense that I am not just uncovering a treasure, but opening a Pandora's box. What was so valuable, so dangerous, that it had to be locked away in this forgotten chamber for so long? I turn the handle, and the door creaks open with a groan of protest, revealing the darkness beyond. The musty smell of old stone and earth fills the air, mixing with the faint scent of something else, something metallic, something that doesn't belong to the earth. As I step inside, the light from the lantern above barely reaches the far corners of the room, but I can make out the shapes of what lies within. The room is large, its walls lined with shelves stacked high with crates and boxes. But it's not the crates that catch my attention. It's the objects scattered across the floor. Old weapons, uniforms, and strange artifacts, all wrapped in layers of dust. And in the center of the room, on a large stone pedestal, is something that immediately draws my gaze. A chest. Not the chest I expected, not the one with gold bars or stolen jewels, but something far more mysterious. The chest is small, covered in intricate carvings. The surface is worn, the edges frayed from years of neglect. But it pulses with a kind of dark energy, something that feels like the very essence of the Nazis' twisted ambitions. This is the true treasure, I realize. Not gold, not artifacts, but something far more dangerous. A relic hidden away to keep it from the world. I take a step closer, but before I can touch it, the man steps forward. He's watching me intently, his expression unreadable. He knows what this is. He knows what it represents. And now, so do I. "This is the end of the hunt," he says, his voice low, almost reverent. But it's not the end of the story. This chest is what they left behind, what they didn't want anyone to find. This is the key. I stand there, frozen, as his words sink in. The chest isn't just a treasure. It's a key a key to unlocking a network of secrets, a web of influence that the Nazis built long before their fall. The wealth was only a distraction. This chest contained something far more valuable, something that, if it were revealed, could change everything. I reach forward, my hand hovering above the chest, but I hesitate. What happens when I open it? What will I find inside? And more importantly, what will happen to me once the truth is exposed? The man steps back, giving me space. "You were never meant to find this," he says quietly. "But now that you have, there's no turning back." And as the weight of his words presses down on me, I realize that I've crossed a line. I'm no longer just a seeker of treasure. I'm a part of something much larger, something far more dangerous. The chest, the documents, the gold, they were just the beginning. What I'm about to uncover will set in motion a chain of events that none of us can control. With trembling hands, I open the chest. The darkness inside is absolute, but as I lift the lid, I feel a shift in the air, a sense that history itself is shifting with me. What will I find? What will I uncover in this final, fateful moment? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The story isn't over. It has only just begun. The chest opens with a soft, almost imperceptible click, as though it has been waiting for this moment, for someone to unlock its secrets. The air in the room shifts, the temperature dropping just slightly, as if the very walls of the castle are holding their breath. I glance at the man, but his face betrays no emotion, only that same quiet, knowing gaze. He is not surprised. In fact, it feels as if he has been waiting for this, waiting for me to take this step. The contents inside the chest are not what I expected. There is no glimmering treasure, no pile of gold or jewels. Instead, the chest holds only a few simple items: old yellowed papers, a small leather-bound book, and a single silver key. The key catches the dim light from the lantern, its surface etched with strange symbols that I recognize but cannot place. It is not just a key, it is a relic, a piece of the puzzle that has been scattered across time, hidden in plain sight. The weight of it in my hand sends a shiver down my spine. I look at the man, still standing in the shadows. He doesn't speak, but I know he's watching me closely, waiting for my next move. The silence is almost unbearable, the weight of what I'm holding heavy in the air. The chest seems to pulse with an unseen energy, a quiet hum that grows louder with each passing second. This is it, the culmination of everything I've uncovered, everything I've sought. The lost gold of the Third Reich was never the treasure. It was never about gold or riches. This is the real prize. The papers inside the chest are brittle with age, their edges curled and torn. I pick them up gently, one by one, and begin to sift through them. The first is a map that seems to lead nowhere, a map filled with cryptic symbols and markings that make no sense at first glance. But the more I study it, the more the symbols begin to align. They form a pattern, a path that stretches from Berlin to the Alps, across Poland, and down into the heart of Eastern Europe. The map is not just a guide to hidden treasures, it is a map of escape routes, secret passageways, and safe havens used by Nazi officials in the final days of the war. The gold, I realize, was just the bait, the lure that drew people into this larger web of secrets. This map is a map to the legacy of the Reich, to the secret networks that survived long after the war had ended. I set the map aside and pick up the small book. Its leather cover is cracked, and it's clear that it has been handled countless times. I open it carefully, and the first page reads simply, Für das Vaterland, for the fatherland. The pages are filled with names, dates, and cryptic entries, records of meetings, secret communications, and coded messages. These aren't just the personal musings of a soldier or officer. This is a ledger, a record of the Nazi Party's final attempts to preserve their power, their ideology. The book chronicles the escape routes, the hidden funds, the networks that were established in the wake of their defeat. These were the final orders, the last efforts to rebuild the Reich in the shadows, away from the eyes of the Allies, away from the rest of the world. And then there is the key, the silver key. It is small, but it feels heavy in my hand, as though it has the weight of history behind it. The symbols etched into the key match the ones on the map, and I can't help but feel a sense of dread as I realize that this is no ordinary key. This is the key to something far greater, something far darker. It is the key to a hidden vault, to a secret bunker or facility, somewhere deep in the heart of Europe, hidden away from the world. The map, the book, the key, they all point to a single location, a place that no one has been able to find, a place that the Nazis hid for a reason. What lies inside that vault? What are they protecting? Or perhaps, what are they hiding? I take a step back, the weight of the key in my hand sending a cold shiver through my body. The man steps forward then, finally breaking his silence. "You see now," he says, his voice low, almost reverent. "It was never about the gold. The gold was just a distraction. The real treasure, the real power, is locked away in that vault. And you, now, hold the key." His words hang in the air like a curse, and for a moment, I feel the full weight of what I've uncovered. This is no ordinary treasure hunt. This is something far bigger. The gold, the treasure, the escape routes, these were all part of a larger plan, a plan to preserve the Nazi ideology, to keep it alive long after the Reich had fallen. They hid their most dangerous secrets in a place no one could find. And now, I am holding the key to that place. The man looks at me, his eyes piercing through the darkness. "But you can't go alone," he says. "This vault is not meant to be opened by one person. The power inside it is too great, too dangerous. You need help." I nod slowly, the realization dawning on me. I am not the first to seek out these secrets. I am not the first to hunt for the gold, for the power that lies beneath the surface. But I am the one who has found it. I am the one who now holds the key. I stand up, the key still heavy in my hand, and glance at the man one last time. He doesn't move, doesn't offer any further guidance. Instead, he simply watches me, as if waiting for my decision. There's no turning back now. Whatever lies behind that vault door will change everything. I don't know what it will be, but I know one thing for sure. This is a story that cannot be left unfinished. As I step back from the chest, the weight of the decision pressing down on me, I realize that the real hunt has only just begun. The gold? It was never the point. The real treasure, the real danger, lies behind that vault door, and it's waiting for me to open it. With the key in my hand, I turn to leave the room, my footsteps echoing in the silence. I don't know where this journey will lead, or what I will find when I reach the vault. But I know this: the story isn't over yet. And the truth that lies behind that door may be far darker than I could have ever imagined. As I step into the hallway, the door closing softly behind me, I hear the faintest whisper in the air. A promise, a warning perhaps. The legacy of the Third Reich has not ended. It lives on, waiting to be revealed. and I am the one who will uncover it. But the question remains, will I be able to control what I find? Or will it consume me as it has consumed so many others before me? The answer is just beyond that vault door, and now I must decide whether to open it